in your block, and we're on the beach bike path in Santa Monica today talking about a serious mobility issue, the birds and the limes that have invaded our city. I'm here with Rick Cole, the city manager of our fine city of Santa Monica. Rick, you're on Oceanfront Walk on the bike path today, looking at scooters. As some people would say the city a plague of scooters, some other people would smile and say, wow, personal mobility has arrived.
Any new form of mobility is going to pose some challenges. When bikes came with the big wheels 100 years ago, they were something of a scourge. And of course, when cars came, there was a tremendous amount of carnage until the rules got set. So what we have is people jumping on these things thinking they're toys, not serious transportation, but they go 15 miles an hour. And it's just dangerous here on the bike path. So there's long been a rule against motorized vehicles here on the bike path, so we're enforcing it against the scooters.
We could call this almost the Wild West of scooter civilization right now. We understand there have been a lot of accidents in Santa Monica, either from the scooters hitting people, scooters hitting cars, people hitting them, vice versa.
A lot is, of course, relative.
I agree.
We have lots, unfortunately, of accidents in our city from cars, running into cars and even pedestrians. We have a Vision Zero to begin to crank that down so that we have no serious injuries or deaths from any kind of transportation. But that's going to take us a while. We're particularly concerned now about the people who don't know how to use them. They're not wearing helmets. They're riding on the sidewalk. I saw two young men who were riding them sitting down. So, unfortunately, while people are having fun and nobody wants to spoil someone's fun, it's not fun if you get hit. And there have been some accidents here on the bike path. Even though it's a wide bike path, we have a tremendous number of people during the summer.
What are the city's rules and the county's rules concerning use of scooters, use of these motorized vehicles on the Kenneth Hahn Beach bike path?
Because this is a county facility and it actually runs 51 miles, we weren't entirely sure what our jurisdiction was on the bike path. So we sat down with the county, we talked with them. We believe that we can enforce our law. So that's what we're going to do.
No scooters on the bike path, period.
No scooters on the bike path or on Oceanfront Walk. Scooters are allowed in the bike path, in the streets throughout Santa Monica, but not on the beach bike path, because the beach bike path, it's closer to a sidewalk.
Since we are probably the epicenter of the scooter revolution,
I would hope that everybody, regardless of what the law is, would wear a helmet to protect their head.
Our police and city administration are going to be out here throughout the weekend enforcing this?
Yeah, throughout the weekend. In fact, we're putting up additional signage tomorrow.
And I understand there is an electronic sign down by Station 26 right now.
Yes.
We're doing scooter enforcement because of all the problems we've been having. And you can't ride without a helmet. You got to be 16 years old. You got to possess a valid driver's license. So we're stopping everybody and having them park it, giving them the information they need.
Just follow the rules. If you look at the deck, it tells you right there, helmet required, license required.
And companies themselves have been cooperative. Last week they were deploying them actually on the bike path. We were able to persuade them to pull them away. So this morning there wasn't a single one of these. I think there were 3 that had been left over by somebody when I came through on my bike at 7:30 this morning. They're trying to be cooperative, and we're trying to get them to take a more active role.
And with Santa Monica resident Danielle Borgia. Danielle, you've started a petition, I understand, on change.org, and you've been very concerned about something that we've been looking at for the last half an hour, scooters in Santa Monica.
Yes, unfortunately, it's touched my life personally, and so I've gotten involved. But there have been many members of our community, our citizens advocacy groups, who have been advocating for a long time to restrict them and regulate them and have some kind of enforcement around the existing laws. My son, who is 7 years old, was out here riding his bicycle on the boardwalk with a helmet. He was going northbound in the northbound lane, and a young woman came down barreling southbound in the northbound lane. She must have been going about 20 miles an hour. She ran smack into him. The pole of the scooter cracked against his mouth and it loosened and broke his teeth. So 8 of his teeth, 6 of which are permanent, are in jeopardy, and the oral surgeon and the orthodontist and the dentist are trying to figure out what they can do to save them. He can't get any implants on the broken teeth until he's 18. His mouth is wired shut. He could only eat liquids with a syringe for about a week and a half. He's still eating only very soft foods like pasta. He's lost a couple pounds, which is a lot for a 7-year-old. We had to cancel all of his camps, his sports activities. He's a really active kid. You know, he's sitting inside for the summer. And I've learned from people such as yourself and other people that have been working to try and save the public health of our community, is that there are really disturbing ethical issues about the way the scooters have just been allowed to come in our city without regulation. Our city code actually prohibits them on the bike path and on the promenade in Palisades Park, and none of that has ever been enforced. People have no idea about that law. I had to go and find that out for myself. Our traffic has doubled, and the speed, trying to just get from your car out to the beach, is scary. There have been head injuries. It's like they're waiting for a fatality to be forced to have to do something about it.
We're on the bike path, and they've confiscated Lime and Bird scooters right now. However, that's taken your son getting injured. That's taking other people being injured as well. Our already chaotic bike paths, our already chaotic streets are now congested with Birds and Limes that seem to have no rules. They scoot against red lights, they scoot on sidewalks, they are left on sidewalks. People who are mobility impaired have no way to get by. You said your son was on the bike path with a helmet, going in the proper direction. You've trained your son well.
We've been out here for years. He's actually been riding his bike out here for 3 years. There's never been this kind of danger. There are multiple accidents occurring every day. The doctors we've talked to are seeing injuries every single day from scooter accidents. This man just stopped by and said he saw someone break their leg on a scooter from running into a bike. The riders are getting injured themselves. It's being pushed under the rug, and we're not going to allow that to happen anymore. We're demanding that the city protect us.
And some cities have banned scooters. Some cities have created more stringent regulations. Our city fined Bird $300,000 and then said, go for it. I believe the cap is somewhere between 2,500 and 3,500 scooters in our city right now.
It's way too many. The city's official position is that there's not a number cap. If each scooter is used 3 times a day or more, they should be able to keep it. The other problem is that kids under 18 who are riding them, parents are terrified. Other motorists are terrified of hitting them. We have a new police chief. I have faith that she is taking steps.
We have become this very large city rather than a town that many of us grew up in, that many people moved to. And it appears a lot of the time that we are a reactive city government rather than a proactive city government. West Hollywood is the closest city to us that has said no more scooters. We can't handle it. I understand one of the cities in San Diego has now banned them.
Beverly Hills is regulating them. They have enforcement out there that is ticketing. They have much more stringent requirements about where they can be. I believe that our city government wants that, but we need to make that happen. The other thing that is really important is that they not be just left around anymore. You shouldn't be able to just grab it, that they must be checked out from kiosks, and they must rent a helmet with it if they don't come with a helmet. And they must return them to kiosks, just like when you rent a bicycle.
Our bike share program, right? And the technology is good enough that they could do electronic corrals.
It's called geofencing, and they absolutely can. Our city needs to force them. We are basically allowing these companies who are growing extremely powerful. They're making so much money now that they've hired people to go to the city council meetings. They've hired people to be out there getting petitions signed. I can't do that. They got 1,000 signatures easily.
We shouldn't have to do that. As residents of our community, our city government should be looking out for us first. First and foremost, making this a city that our 94,000 people want to live in, want to feel safe in, and want to feel that it's always under control. I'm so incredibly sorry that this has happened to your son. Losing a summer when you're 7 years old is like losing a lifetime. Did the person who hit your son stay at the scene?
She stopped. She appeared to be in shock. She walked over to Perry's Cafe, handed me a bag of ice. I was scooping up my baby in my arms and running to the car to try and get him to a doctor. I think that the fact that they're out here and people don't know that they're illegal, they essentially haven't been illegal because there's no enforcement. The injuries that are constantly happening are not being publicized. People really don't know the dangers.
The amount of accidents we hear about, the city isn't releasing those. Certainly Bird and Lime aren't releasing those statistics either. I understand that over the July 4th week, there were 90,000 Lime rentals in Santa Monica. 90,000 in less than a week. We have to enforce our laws and regulations.
It's a public safety hazard and needs to be treated as such. I am heartened by what the city manager and the police department have done in the last week.
But it's cause and effect. Because you had a horrible effect and other people are having horrible effects, they're finally starting to wake up to that.
We don't have the luxury of just sitting back and thinking that everything's going to be okay. Every person now needs to be their own activist on a countrywide level. We have to fight for our basic rights, our basic freedoms, our basic protections.
Reform starts at home. Taking care of our public safety is a right by every resident in our city. That's why people move here. I'm so concerned about our youth and teens. One of the policemen who's here right now confiscating birds and limes is a Santa Monica High School graduate. He grew up in the community. We are all concerned about our community. I don't ever want any of you to feel helpless. You have to stand up for your community, which is what you're doing, Danielle.
It's what I teach my students to do. The young people now, if they are so in favor of activism and advocacy, when they start to understand the dangers and the dangers they're causing to others, that the citizens will change.
Thank you for standing up, protecting your children, and helping protect other children in our city. Thank you so much, Danielle. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I wish it was under different circumstances.
Thank you so much, Phil.
This has been another great episode of Brock and Your Block. This is a serious issue in the Santa Monica. We have so many serious issues here. We'll tackle some of those on our future editions of Brock and Your Block. We'll see you soon.